Today we're going to be talking about the Viltrox 40mm f2.5 full frame lens. And I'm going to be showing you some focus charts, I'm going to be showing you some autofocus speed tests, I'm going to be showing you some beautiful bokeh balls, and I'll show you a whole load of photos just to see what this lens can actually do. Both the Viltrox and the Sony are fantastic 40mm lenses. And if we put them side by side and we have a look at flaring, for example, they're pretty similar. A little bit different, but pretty similar. When it comes to sun stars, pretty similar, right? So let's watch on and see what else makes them different. Right, so the Viltrox 40mm f2.5 full frame lens for Sony, they do other mounts, is right here. And I have the Sony 40mm 2.5 G lens. Basically the same focal length, basically the same f-stop, except this one goes from f2.5 to f16. The Sony goes from f2.5 to f22. And it costs about 4 times as much, because this one is $142, this one is about $550 to $600, so it's a lot more expensive. Size-wise, the Sony is smaller. In fact, the tiny little filter on the front is 49mm, whereas on the actual Viltrox we have 52mm. We have 6 elements in 10 groups, and we have 9 elements in 9 groups. So a little bit different when it comes to the inside, the glass. On the Sony we have 2 linear autofocus motors. It is fast, it is quiet. In here we have an STM screw type motor, which is also extremely fast and extremely quiet. Very different motors, but basically you'll see that all these specs don't really matter. It's all about the visuals. So you're gonna see the autofocus test right now. Right, so what we're gonna start with is the autofocus speed test on the Viltrox 40mm. Let's see. That seems pretty normal. I can see it is grabbing my face and then my eye pretty quickly. My mouth is a little bit frozen. Let's do a little bit walk back. Not bad, huh? It does a really good job for a 40mm. Now, minimum focus is about right there. That is where my eyes are still in focus. Yeah, it does a really nice job of keeping the focus. Let's check out the Sony now. Right, now we have the Sony. It is also on f2.5, same everything basically, and let's see. I don't know, it seems a little bit snappier, but let's have a look again. Okay. So it's doing the same thing. It kind of gets the face, then it grabs onto the eye. Let's walk back. It seems to do a good job. Let's check minimum focus. Right about here. Here, I think this is minimum focus for the Sony. They both seem to do a very good job for a 40mm lens in autofocus. So to me, apart from the focus breathing, which you can see in the Sony, these are practically the same. The Viltrox 40mm is a little bit wider. The frame is larger on the Viltrox. But in terms of eye and face focus, Viltrox really is on fire. They have always been very good at very fast autofocus, and as you can see, it tracks me very, very well. So that's not bad, is it? They're almost identical in speed. The Viltrox catches on, it has face autofocus, eye autofocus, exactly the same as the Sony. Pretty much the same speed, even if I'm walking up or appearing in the frame, they both do a really fantastic job. I can see the face and then the eye just catch on really quickly. So what we're gonna do now is look at a few photos out in the sun, my family, me just walking around, and you can see what it looks like. And in a minute, I'm gonna put up the same photos from each camera. I basically took one lens, went, shot everything, remembered what I shot, and took the second lens, shot the same stuff. So they may not be in exactly the same time, but they're as similar as I could possibly get them. So you're gonna be able to look through those. I'm gonna put on some music, and you guys can chill, sit back, and see which one you prefer. Now, in terms of the balls, everybody likes a good set of balls. The bokeh balls on these two, the Sony does have larger balls, and that's due to the minimal focus. Now, if we put them out of focus and look at the balls are going to be pretty similar, but you'll see a difference in size. Now, if we have them at the same focus distance, the balls are very similar. If we have them at minimal focus, you can see the Sony has much bigger balls. So it really depends if you like big balls or medium balls. I'm not really bothered about the size of the balls as long as the lens does a good job. It's nice and sharp, it's got fast AF, and it looks good. Where this does, both of the balls were nice around, they look great. Even on the edge of the frame, they had a nice, a nice shape. Now, like I said, it's due to the minimal focus on the Sony, it can focus in a little bit closer. So if we get Robocop and we check him out, you're going to be able to see that 25 centimeters on the Sony is the minimal focus, and on the Viltrox it's going to be 34 centimeters. So with the Sony at 25 centimeters, we can get Robocop very close. Same frame, put it back in the Viltrox, and this is what you get. With them next to each other, you can really see there's a big difference in minimal focus. In terms of weight, it's odd because the Viltrox is 167, the Sony 173 grams. So even though the Sony is smaller, you can feel like it's I think it's some kind of metal in here, whereas the Viltrox is all this kind of hard plastic. It's not this kind of bad, cheap plastic. It feels like a solid, good lens, but it is just a few grams lighter. You do have differences when it comes to the actual body, the build of these two. On the Sony, we do have a customizable button on the side and an AF/MF switch. Not only that, we can change the aperture, and if we want to declick it, we can also do that, which is, it's pretty cool for a lens like this. This is a G lens, it's not a GM, it is a G lens. And apart from the 40, they do a 24 and a 50. I've got all three of them because I absolutely love small lenses like this. On the Viltrox, all we have is a focus ring. Now, the focus ring, the throw seems really long compared to the Sony's, but it's nice and smooth. It's got a good amount of resistance if you do want to pull focus manually. All in all, I think the Viltrox for $142 is absolutely fantastic, and I've said it for a long time. I've worked with Viltrox for maybe 4 or 5 years. I think their lenses are absolutely incredible, especially when it comes to things like focus breathing, where the Sony just falls apart completely in just about every single comparison I've done. So let's check that out. So here, as usual, you can see that the Sony breathes a lot more than the Viltrox. The Viltrox is very, very controlled when breathing, but it does have a smaller minimal focus. It's pretty incredible, isn't it? How Viltrox managed to keep focus breathing down to almost zero, and it's basically the same across the board of all their lenses. Now at the back we do have USB-C, so you can firmware upgrade. They both come with lens hoods. I chucked them somewhere, I have no idea where. I don't use lens hoods, but they both come with lens hoods, which is very nice, and they come with back, rear, and front caps. So you get the whole package. Now, if you want to get technical, I'm leaving this for the end of the film because it's technical. We can have a look at the charts. So if we look at both of these fully open, there's a little bit of vignetting, no distortion really going on, and that vignetting does disappear as you close the lens down. But yeah, very, very little distortion on both of them, but as you can see, the Viltrox is a little bit of a wider 40mm because I had them in the same place. Now, fully open, looking at the charts, the Sony does have the edge just a little bit. It looks a little bit sharper. Not much, but enough that you're like, okay, so the Sony is just a little bit tinier, razor sharper. But it's not visible in the photos, which I'm going to show you in a second. When we close this down to 16, f16, you can see they're pretty comparable, but the Sony is a little bit more clear. Now let's have a look at some real-world photos and compare them and see which one's sharper, because to me, the Viltrox now on the right-hand side here is sharper. It now is razor sharp in real-life situations. Now if we look at this building site photo right here, the Viltrox on the right once more, I swear the Viltrox does look sharper, more clear, and it's fully open f2.5, so take that as you will. So yeah, $142 or $550. Is it worth it? I personally would save that money, go with this, buy myself another 2 or 3 Viltrox lenses. They have the 20mm, which is fantastic, and I did just pick up their Pancake, the 28mm. It's a fixed 4.5, but it is beautiful. First autofocus Pancake lens, I think, ever. They also did drop the 135mm, which I've been told is hopefully going to be coming in my direction, and I'm going to be able to bring you a video on that. If you haven't, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.